Welcome back to another chapter of Koherence. Last time, Kenshi and Aiko have actually ascended the Chinese monastery, their tallest temple, as they made their way to the top, where the rip was located, in which it sought them to Edenia's Grand Palace. It took them about 30 minutes, but it was quite a tumultuous trial for them, especially for Aiko. But she at least mastered the ability to use coherence. The mind and heart is one, including her body, giving her an extra oomph of energy. And as soon as they got to the top, she actually rested for a while before they made their way to the Edenian palace. And Sindel, Jerrod, and Katana had greeted them. They were expecting them to come over because of Fujin, of alerting them. And Sindel was well aware of Aiko's predicament involving the Mikiba, as Katana and Jade told them during their trek through Outworld in search for the Deadly Alliance. So they were all aware of this, and Sindel thought it was a good idea to make a counteract. And so Jerrod, using his collection of souls, he actually utilized one, which actually happens to be a guitar player. And those things exist. An electric guitar with a keyboard at the end. It's not fake. And also, not only Jerrod wanted to join in, but also Goro as well. Because Goro used to play percussion, as you would see as an Easter egg in the crypt, in Deadly Alliance, I believe. I'm not sure. So they volunteered, and Fujin got the idea to use Raiden's Sky Temple and meet up with Ashrah. So hopefully she could be a musician during this number they're planning to do. So, continuation 5. Aiko was still exhausted from the intense climb, and by the time she and Kenshi headed back to Earthrealm, with the coordinates readjusted on his gizmo, the White Lotus was ending their sessions as they saw them leave, while Fujin stood front and center. "Have you gathered other recruits for our cause?" "Yes. Prince Goro and King Jerrod shall be joining us as the drummer and guitarist, respectively. Actually, the Outworld Champion was looking forward to restoring light back to the Shaolin. Glad to be doing this for Kung Lao. He also wanted to return the favor for him and his ancestor, ever since that peace treaty after the War of Shinnok. Great! Ashrah shall be helping us too, as the new goddess of light for Earthrealm. She actually plays the bass, and she hasn't done so in eons. It's still the 3rd day, but time is of the essence. I'm uncertain if we can master this number in time. And I'm also unsure what time we shall do this." As if reading the Wind God's mind, "I hope she and Jerrod had buried the hatchet, and not classify him as the so-called demon, as he was once one of Khan's greatest generals. He too remembered the story of the secret intrusion of the warrior shrine. I'm sure she'll be fine, as long as she knows about the noble king of Edenia despite still using his collection of souls. Oh, I forgot what time this similar scenario starts. We still have less than 3 days left." "Well, what can you recall at last, Aiko?" She was racking her brain for a possible solution, and it'd be difficult to manage amongst the different time zones. Fujin exclaimed, "Well, with the Sky Temple being close to the heavens, you shouldn't worry. It has all the time zones happening all at once. Just pick a time and we'll do it." Her face was clouded with ambiguity, as she can only give an estimate. "I think that circumstance may occur sometime before 7 and 9 in the morning, using the Eastern Standard Time." "All right, We shall begin at 3 in the afternoon, utilizing the time zone in China. Sounds like a solid time for us. Besides, Ashrah is familiar with the number we're using. I'm sure it won't be too hard for Jerrod, and Goro only should know the rhythm. Easy. We shall prepare ourselves first thing tomorrow, but we should keep in mind that Edenia and Outworld are still ahead of Earth's cycles. With a Shao Kahn and Edenian? 2 gods and 2 mortals conjuring this concert? That's not too shabby. Let's just pray to the elder gods it shall bring hope to the eloping Shaolin, and to most of the realms. Fujin suddenly recalled Raiden's admiration for Kung Lao and Liu Kang.
Kung Lao and Liu Kang, they were like suns. I would move the heavens to bring them back to the light.
The Shaolin depends on it, especially after their breaking point during the Turcotan attack, the catalyst of the Outworld tournament. We must never screw up this piece. Considering so much was at stake. Fujin, wait! Look, I used to belong to my school's choirs way back, from 5th grade to 9th grade. But I don't want to risk singing it. Can you do it, since it's actually sung by a guy? Sure. I had already stated I was once a vocalist. I used to be my passion, till we got so busy looking out for Earth. How would you do it? Be like the director? It was your idea, and it's no wonder since you have spirit. I even heard you finally mastered Koherence. It is the key to all of this. I'll look after whomever we have left of the Shaolin. Things are looking bleak. As a god, I'm sure I can easily adjust my voice. How are they, Fujin? He slowly shook his head. Not good. More hadn't left, but those that did are actually growing deeper into their despair. Their demons are taking advantage over them. Vulnerable psyches. Their demons are taking advantage of their vulnerable psyches. We must make haste. If worse comes to worse, they might take their own lives. His face wrinkled with grin. It's just like what my brother said, especially to you, young one. Mortal Kombat isn't just about martial arts. There's more than just fighting. Liu Kang said the same. I remember Raiden saying this. I can still be of use without fighting. Kenshi laid a hand on her shoulder. And that you shall. Minutes later, Kenshi returned to the Shiraryu base, while Aiko went back to the Kung cottage. By the time she was preparing to hit the sack, she heard some faint drum beats emanating from her heart gem. She quickly took it out and hid it inside the topmost drawer in her nightstand. She tried to compose herself as her own speeding heart raced. She sure as hell she's never wanted to be tainted by those enticing instruments ever again. The clock is gonna chime in. She remembered she rested for about 6 hours due to last night's anxiety. Damn it. Ow, my arm. Damn it. She remembered she rested for about 6 hours due to last night's anxiety, but she was still willing to take Fujin's portal to the Sky Temple. The sacred location was top secret. Not even Kenshi nor Aiko knew, as it was always accessed through a portal. Even when the infantry and the heroes had to recuperate there after their war of Onaga. Goro, Ashrah, and Jerrod were already practicing their instruments when Fujin, Aiko, and Kenshi showed up. The trio stopped for a moment, and they listened to the song once, praising how motivating and catchy it is. Earthrealm does have some good taste, Ashrah admired. And with my photokinesis and the jinsei, I'm sure we can definitely restore all of the Shaolin, and to whomever those that listen to it. Do some people hold your heart gems? Yeah, Sindel, Jerrod. I know that Lu, Lao, Nightwolf, and Raiden each possess one, as they're the closest family to me. But last night, I felt and heard some tremors coming from the Matokan drums, so I hastily hid it away. You don't have it, do you? No, Kenshi. Actually, that's for the best. No distractions. And I'm sure my brother won't mind when we jam here. The rhythm is merely as simple as ripping a log carcass in half. Goro! I would still use some training with the guitar solos, though I will admit the song is very fun to learn. Same. I'd need some time with the keyboard melodies, but it is renovating, and I could easily transfer my thoughts onto it and press the corresponding keys with my telekinesis. I can hardly hear the bass, though it won't be too difficult to improvise. It's going to take some effort remembering the lyrics. They aren't muffled, just as more difficult than the melodies are. I believe my psychokinesis would do the trick. You'll be our guide, Kenshi. Let's get this thing done. We have 48 hours to spare, so let's dive into it. The wind god signaled the blind man to tap the keys with his mind first, even play through the whole song without any distractions on the open plateau. He even sung each of the words with excellent precision, encouraging the keyboardist. Goro actually followed along at the entryway, although since he had distant past experience with the drum set, it took him longer to master the solos. Having 4 limbs, however, had its advantages, as he was gifted while keeping pace, making some wild beats, and clashing a cymbal or two in unison. It did make Aiko excited at times, almost as if the song was perfectly in sync. Ashrah didn't have to be taught, as she just followed along with the heavy bass. But the one having the most trouble aside from Goro was Jerrod, strumming the guitar, not only just controlling the tool, but also memorizing the tubular tunes. And there's a wild solo. Still, Fujin and Aiko didn't mind repeating the same number, as they played nearly 3 times before they took a breather. When the elemental went to the other musician, thanks to their self-practice, they began to adhere, although their angst were mostly about memory and not to lose concentration by other teammates, nor even the Matokan drums if they'd be beaten. The song had to be played during intervals as a refresher to mimic and also be inspired by each of the separate cues. And out of all the constant tries, Fujin, Aiko, and Kenshi had the easiest parts. It wasn't just the song that kept them innovated, but the gems emitting positive energy by Fujin, Kenshi, and Jerrod lifting their spirits, even being on a hallowed plane. They did take several hours in conjunction with conversation, leisure, and Fujin and Kenshi's newer intel. Fortunate young man. Kind of like you, Aiko. What? That's the adoptive name. Apparently his father used to be a documentary filmmaker, so his family no doubt has dictating experience. The basic function of the Makiba's instruments is not only conjuring, but also as a summons, even bounding those who hear and feel them to their head, mostly the chief's standards. It shall be led by the elder. This is definitely going to be omnipresent. Better than filling out the complicated paperwork, everyone agreed. If there's any native from Outworld who knows them well, it's you, Goro. You're the Prince of the Shokan, and an unchallenged champion for over 5 centuries now. I know there's Jerrod as Ermac, but you seem to be more steadfast. Even though the Matokan are peaceful, they can still have that effect, like attaching a magnet or a moth to the flame. Everyone has a handicap. I didn't ask for my blindness, but it's still there, and we all have our own. Best to use our setbacks to our advantage, utilizing its rhythm like Aiko would do, and counteract with our hearts. Even conversion affects the mind, although the heart functions faster to the brain as the first organ created. We should all be the anchors to their buoys, just as Kung Lao is to Aiko, or me with Hanzo. We must never go astray. It shan't be long now. And so the group performed a few more times, with their productive spirits and their musical theories finally coming into one, like Ermac's souls grouping by the Netherrealm Soul Stones, or the rapidly building tension in both corners of the earth. Our hearts, just as our instruments, must function as one. May we all emerge victorious. Usually I'd see Fujin as Rocky's newest mentor, Tony, just as flamboyant, strict, and a bit cocky as he is, even having a similar voice at times. Wow, that's it for the author notes? I thought I had more than that. So, what'll happen to the new group at the Sky Temple? Find out next time.